Hello, YouTubers, friends, compatriots, bootlickers, shills, dust, stars, pests, vessels, backstabbers. I'm a useful idiot. Today I want to talk about Lenny Breuer. Lenny Breuer used to work for the Department of Justice. He was the criminal division chief under Eric Holder. And between him and Eric Holder is our explanation of why there were no prosecutions of any of the Wall Street criminals for the financial collapse and all the fraud and corruption that's come since, between robo-signing, foreclosure fraud, to securities fraud, to LIBOR manipulation, money laundering, you name it. So anyway, now it turns out Lenny Breuer is leaving the Department of Justice, and he's going back to Covington and Burling. Yes, that's right, the law firm that both he and Eric Holder worked for before. And again, one of the reasons why we haven't had any prosecutions, because the law firm of Covington and Burling that Holder and Lenny Breuer used to work for represented all the very same banks that they're overseeing as part of the Department of Justice. So therefore, no prosecutions. And no surprise, Lenny Breuer goes back to Covington and Burling. And I would imagine that Eric Holder will probably return there someday soon, if not getting some even juicier job at one of the big banks that he didn't prosecute. But let's go back to Department of Justice, ex-Department of Justice, Lenny Breuer, the mole that's back in his hole, because he won't be alone as far as rat bastards at this Covington and Burling, because it turns out he's going to be working with a whole roster of people that milk their service to the government for lucrative post-government careers in the private sector, especially for lawyers, corporations, and banks. And so let's look at some of the people he's going to be working with at Covington and Burling. A former chief of the Securities and Commodities Fraud Task Force for the U.S. Attorney Office in New York, two former assistant attorney generals in charge of antitrust, Michael Chertoff, ex-Secretary of Homeland Security, a Deputy Chief of Staff for U.S. Criminal Division, ex-Deputy Chief of Staff to Attorney General Eric Holder, two ex-chiefs of the General Crimes Unit of the U.S. Attorney Office in New York, and two ex-Deputy Associate Attorney Generals, as well as a U.S. Attorney in New York, and nearly 20 other former federal prosecutors and enforcement officials. So this whole law firm is chock full of lawyers who have skill at getting bankers off the hook. So whether they're working inside the government or outside the government, the results are the same. So here's to you, Lenny Breuer. You're kind of the rat bastard of the month and the mole back in his hole. Good riddance. I'm a useful idiot. Don't you be one too.